Hello, and welcome to Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. My name is Mary Bear Shannon. I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. Again, this is Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. I am coming to you live from my home in Havertown. I have been quarantining here with my family for the last couple of months. We created Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine as a way to share recipes and things we're cooking, share our ideas for substitutions for ingredients, especially in times when we are finding that we are lacking things either in our homes and we don't really it doesn't merit a trip out to the store for one ingredient, or they're just shortages in the grocery stores. So we hoped this was a place to share those. Not only do we do this live broadcast every Monday at 5 o'clock, we also have a Facebook page of the same name, Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. We'd love for you to join us and tell us what you are cooking during this really extraordinary time when we are home way more than we used to be. We're cooking a lot more than we used to, and we're trying to make the best of what is a challenging situation. So again, my name is Mary Bear Shannon. This is Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. So again, it is another very hot day. Unfortunately, I am turning on my stove today. I am getting ready for our cookbook club, which we do every second Monday of the month. This time we are cooking from Jamie Oliver's 5-ingredient, good, quick and easy food. And so I'm going to show you what I'm going to make for our Zoom meeting tonight. And if you would like to join us tonight, you don't have to have cooked. You can come and talk about cooking, talk about techniques, and really it's a great fellowship. So if you would like to join us tonight, all you have to do is email me. And I'm gonna, since I can't share my screen without completely and then coming back without ending the broadcast, I'm gonna put this up. My email is shannon@haverfordlibrary.org. You can email me and I will send you the Zoom link for Cookbook Club, which is tonight at 6:30. That group has been meeting for, I think it's 6 years. I'm not sure. Somebody is always reminding me that it's probably longer than I think it is. But Cookbook Club, most of the time of its history, met in person. We used to select a cookbook and then everybody would cook from the cookbook and prepare their recipe and bring it to share, really like having a potluck every month, which is definitely one of my favorite things to do, is to share food. Of course, right now we are not doing that because of the pandemic, but we are definitely talking about what we're cooking. And as I said, we are cooking from Jamie Oliver's 5-ingredient, quick and easy cookbook. And I am going to make a recipe for you today. The other thing I just wanted to mention is that, yes, most of our programming is still virtual, but we are forging into new territory this week. We are actually going to do our first set of in-person programs at our local park, at Merwood Park, which is kind of around the corner from the library, down near the 100 line in the Merwood Park section. On Thursday, August 13th, we are going to have a library afternoon in the park from 2 to 5 o'clock. We will have a story time at 2:30, which is registration is required. We are trying very hard to limit our numbers just so that we can be as safe as possible. We are also asking for people to wear masks. And as I said, we are going to ask people to social distance, but it'll be our first in-person story time. this Thursday at 2:30. We do ask a registration and for you to wear a mask. The other thing we're going to do that day is a drumming circle at 4 p.m. We are really thrilled to be able to partner with Kelly Music Center for a program. You may have never attended a drumming circle. It's very fun. We do ask you to bring your own drum or your own percussion instrument. We will also be social distancing at that program at 4 p.m. That will be at Merwood Park as part of our library afternoon in the park. That also requires a registration. And then in the meantime, we are going to be doing, we are bringing some books for people to browse. You may not be feeling like you're ready to come back into our building. We are going to be bringing some books for all ages. You can browse. It's not required that you register to come and browse books. We will also be able to check them out to you. We do have a remote checkout system through some of our technology. So bring your library card. You can come and browse books. Again, this is Thursday, August 13th from 2 to 5. The two events, the story time and the drumming circle, we do ask you to register just because we do need to limit our numbers to be as safe as possible, but you can come and browse our books with a mask and socially distanced. So if you would like more information or to register for the two programs, you can go to haverfordlibrary.org/park. And you can find out more about our first foray since the beginning of the pandemic into some in-person, socially distanced, masked events that are not on either Facebook or YouTube. So we're very excited to do this. We're also mindful that we have to make sure that this is as safe as possible so that we can continue to do some programming in our parks. And we are very grateful to the township for allowing us to do this. And we're also really grateful to Kelly Music for partnering with us on the drum circle. So anyway, I thought I'd start talking to you about what I'm making for Cookbook Club. Jamie Oliver has this, his cookbook is the 5-ingredient quick and easy food cookbook. He's one of many people who kind of is in this kick of just cooking something with 5 ingredients, which is really attractive when you think about not needing a whole bunch of steps, especially if you've worked all day and you don't have a whole lot of time. I really liked this cookbook a lot, and I'm excited about the recipe that I am going to cook for you today. So just a couple of things about Jamie Oliver. He is a British chef and restaurateur. He is known for his approachable cuisine, which I think the 5-ingredient kind of speaks to that. And he's had a number of cooking shows. The first one in 1999 called The Naked Chef, which I remember distinctly. Again, this book, The 5 Ingredients Quick and Easy Food, was published in 2019, so it's not a very old cookbook. So I am going to be cooking a easy sausage carbonara. It just has 5 ingredients. It's going to take me no time. So I'm going to show you almost the entire recipe today. But a little bit about carbonara. You may have made it. I'd love to hear if you've had success with carbonara. I've only made it a couple of times. I think probably the thing that intimidates me the most about carbonara is making sure I don't scramble the eggs because you are adding hot pasta to kind of an egg and Parmesan mixture. And you just have to make sure that you don't scramble your eggs. You're really looking for kind of a creamy sauce to slowly cook the eggs without, again, making scrambled eggs. I think sometimes that's always been my concern. Now I have to say I made carbonara on Saturday because I had been kind of craving it. I made a more traditional carbonara on Saturday. It turned out great. And the thing that carbonara is usually known for is either a pancetta or some kind of Italian or prosciutto. Um, I do see often recipes that are calling for bacon, which is what I used on Saturday night. And I fried up some bacon and crumbled it up, and that was kind of my base. I think most carbonaras usually have some kind of pork product, so pancetta or prosciutto or bacon. But this is actually a sausage pasta carbonara. So I'm going to show you how to make that. And I was just curious about where this recipe came from. There are, according to the food blogger Lorraine Elliott, she says carbonara is part of Cucina Romana, or Roman cuisine, and that there are many stories about where it originates from that it was invented at a restaurant called La Carbonara in the Campo di Fiore in Rome. And to another theory is that the black pepper resembling coal flecks, and that carbonara means the coal miner's style. There is pepper in this, so I could see that. I guess what we know is that it really did not show up in as being mentioned or in print really until after World War II. There were types of carbonara that had the egg as part of the and cheese as part of the sauce, but they really don't have much documentation that pasta carbonara actually was mentioned until after World War II. So anyway, I thought we would get started. We'll talk a little bit about the ingredients, but I will take you over because we are going to cook pasta, and that'll take about 10 minutes. So, okay, so over to my kitchen. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to put our, we are going to get our pasta in. I have, this called for tagliatelle, which is kind of a wide-based noodle. I could not find that in the grocery store, but these are pappardelle, and so they are also kind of wide. And as you can see, they're kind of in these little cute nests, and I'm going to dump these in. But this restaurant, I mean, I've seen carbonara made with spaghetti or fettuccine or linguine, but I kind of liked this this very thick, wide noodle. So we're going to put these in. Okay, so we're going to put this in as soon as I get my pot over, and then we're going to cook this for 10 minutes while we are cooking the sausage. So we're going to put these in. And eventually we're going to put the hot pasta into this other pot that you see on camera. And we're going to mix everything up along with the egg and the cheese. So we are going to just give this a stir. And again, this is not the Food Network. I don't magically know when it's going to be done. So I am actually going to put the timer on. So you may hear my timer go off. That's going to be on for 10 minutes. Okay, so while we're doing that, we're going to cook these sausages. Now, this is about, I am doubling this because the recipe that I'm going to include on the website or on the Facebook post calls for, it serves two, and, you know, I have more than two people in my family. So it calls for 3 sausages. I'm using Italian sausage. You just open up the sausage and take out the sausage and from the casing. And I had this covered while we were waiting. And then I made these into little meatballs. And this recipe calls for you to roll it in pepper. That was just a little more than I think I or my family would have preferred. So I actually just sprinkled this with pepper. Oops, I'm rolling over here. And so I just sprinkled it with pepper because I thought rolling it might be just too much pepper for my family. So I've actually had this on low. So we are going to put in these sausage pieces, and we're going to get these going. Again, this maybe is not as hot as it should be, but I have been heating this pan for about 5 or 10 minutes at a low, but it is starting to cook here. So we are going to cook up this sausage until it is brown and golden. We're going to toss this a couple of times to make sure it's evenly cooked and that it is browned on all sides. And again, if you're just joining us, we are making easy pasta carbonara with sausage. Most of the time, pasta carbonara is made with a pancetta or a prosciutto. I am making it with Italian sausage today. And so it's just a little different. But again, this is from Jamie Oliver's 5-ingredient cookbook, which is what we are doing for the cookbook club. So as you can see, I've got them all in my pan. I am keeping an eye on my pasta over here. Again, this recipe called for tagliatelle, and I could not find that in the grocery store. And so I used this and I'm not pronouncing this very well, but this pappardelle, which is a little wider pasta. And I see that Carol's here and Liz is here. And Carol says she learned to make carbonara before I was born, probably. And I think it was 1973. Well, then you learned it after I was born. My father thought that there was something wrong with it because it was the wrong color, and my brother actually put ketchup on it. So horrified when you think about what you really want ketchup on pasta carbonara is a little interesting. So anyway, we are cooking up this sausage. I don't want to move this too much before I get a good brown on the bottom. But again, I am cooking up fairly small Italian sausage meatballs. I have dusted these with pepper. This did actually call for rolling it in pepper. I thought that was a little more pepper than I think my family would tolerate, but I think, just having pepper in it, I think pepper is part of this dish. I just wasn't willing to roll it in ground pepper. So we are cooking this and making sure this is done. And Carol says the best tagliatelle is available at Carlino's. And I should have known that would have been a place to get good tagliatelle. I was just saying to my son that I would really like to learn how to make my own pasta, so I don't have to run around and find the size that I need for recipes. Okay, so we are going to start to toss these little sausage meatballs. We are going to get them cooked all the way through on all sides, and they are starting to brown here. So let me get these turned, and then we will talk a little bit about the sauce, which is really eggs and Parmesan cheese. It does require some kind of greenery, and I've almost always seen parsley, although I guess you could use basil. I have more basil than I know what to do with in my garden right now, so that might be a nice addition, but I really like the Italian parsley. That is definitely adds to it. And I'd love to hear, I think I've said this before on this program, I prefer the flat leaf Italian parsley. I think it has a lot of flavor. I don't really care for the curly. So I'd love to hear if anybody else feels differently or whether they really like the curly. The curly is prettier, but it just doesn't seem like it has much flavor to me. So again, I'm just getting these all turned over so that we make sure they get cooked on all sides. So I'm going to get this ready because once we are done cooking this, we are going to, and we're finished the pasta, we are going to put everything together with our egg and our Parmesan. So what I have here is about a bunch of parsley. I've got it kind of finely chopped up here. That's going to go in with the rest of the sauce. I also have 2 eggs. Again, I am doubling this. You're going to see this recipe and say, oh, she only put 1 egg in this because that only serves 2 people. So we're just going to get these eggs in here, and then we are going to beat these up and then add everything together. The only other thing that I'm not staying true to this recipe is that it does not call for garlic. And it just didn't seem right not to have garlic in this carbonara. So I am going to put that in at the very end and just cook it for a brief moment. I don't want to burn my garlic, but I want to kind of get it kind of fragrant before we add everything together. Okay, so I have these 2 eggs. I'm going to beat these up because I'm going to add that to my parsley. And I'm going to also add in my Parmesan. So that is all done. That's all beaten. And again, all of this adding together of the egg and the Parmesan will be done off of heat because you do not want direct heat on those eggs. You'll turn them into scrambled eggs, and that would be bad. So the other thing that to get it to the right consistency, we may very well use some of our pasta water, which will be a thickening agent, but it will also kind of help us deglaze the bottom of this pan and get that and really get the sauce to the consistency that we want it. So we'll have to kind of see at the end how much pasta water we'll actually need. Okay, so we are getting much farther along here on these meatballs. They are starting to brown. I still have a little bit of pink here, and my pasta is still cooking, so we're in good shape here. The last thing I'm going to put into this sauce is about a little under a cup of Parmesan. It calls for about an ounce to serve 2, which is about a half a cup or a little under half a cup. I'm a cheesy gal, so I definitely go more heavy-handed on the Parmesan because I just love the flavor. And I like cheese, as you can tell. So anyway, we are going to mix all of this up together. And this eventually will go in with our sausage. Then we will add, but we're going to do that off the heat once we're done. And then with our pasta. So we're getting really close here. I'm going to do a bit more of a toss here. And at the very end, I'm going to put some garlic in here just to make it fragrant. 30 seconds, no more than 30 seconds to a minute. I don't want it to burn. There's nothing like burned garlic. It just, is awful. Smells awful, tastes awful. I'm just looking at my comments here. I see Liz says, my mother always said the curly was for decorating and the flavor. Got to scroll down here. But the flavor is in the flat leaf. Well, I agree with your mother, Liz, for sure. And she says it's looking yummy. Well, thank you. I hope it all turns out here. Okay, so we are getting here to the very end and want to make sure that these are cooked through. I did make them small enough so that we could cook them without taking, forever on camera, but it's looking pretty good here. And looks like we are very close to being done with our pasta. So I am actually now going to put in my garlic, and I am going to stir this up. I am going to actually turn it off because I think that's plenty hot, and we really don't want to burn this garlic. And I do have it in oil, so that's always a risk, is making sure that you're not burning your garlic in your oil. I have just a little bit more here that I want to get out. So, okay. So, and I think that will make the dish. Sorry, Jamie Oliver, you had no garlic in with your pasta carbonara. I just couldn't do that. So this has come off of the heat, and we are going to let this sit until our pasta, which is done, is completed. And again, these are looking really good. And I am going to start putting in the pasta into the meatballs. Again, I'm going to turn this off. Everything should be off heat now, because eventually we're going to put in, I'm no Julia Child here. We are not the Food Network here, but we are going to get this pasta in by hook or by crook here. And then everything's going to come together. Okay. This was about 12 ounces of pasta. Jamie Oliver's recipe called for 5 to serve 2. So I'm a little over, but that's what I had. So really we are just doubling this. And I think we have most of our pasta here. I am just going to stir this up a little bit, and then hopefully we are at a little lower temperature so we are not going to scramble our eggs. And I think it's now time to add, this is our parsley, this is Parmesan, and this is eggs, scrambled eggs, 2 eggs. And what we're going to do is we're just going to toss this, and we are going to see, we're going to coat this. This is slowly cooking the egg to make it, not scrambled eggs, but, more of a creamy, velvety sauce, along with the Parmesan, the olive oil that I cooked the sausage in, the garlic that was not in this recipe but felt like it really needed to be in there. And we have, good coverage now, and I don't see any scrambled egg bits, which is awesome. And the only other thing is just to add a little bit of the pasta water to kind of add and give it just a little bit of a shine and some thickness. But again, I think this is actually in pretty good shape, and I think this is perfect. Now, the last thing that we will do, I did leave out just a tad of the parsley, and we're going to just top that off just as a garnish. It's not the curly, but it is the flat, but I think it gives that kind of final finish. And then just a little bit of my Parmesan. And that's it. That is easy pasta carbonara with sausage. And I'm going to put it in just a little bit closer. Usually you guys don't see the final product, but that is it. Thank you for hanging in with me for that dish. It is great to have you here. I look forward to seeing some of you at Cookbook Club. Again, if you would like to join us to talk about cooking and to talk about just what you've been cooking during the pandemic. Again, we're going to be talking about Jamie Oliver's cookbook, but we will have something else to cook from next week. So we'd love to have you join us. And if you'd like the link to Zoom, again, you can just email me. You can just email me and I'll send you the link. So again, thank you for joining us for Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine, and I hope you all have a great day.